Okay, so here is some interesting thing. Basically, this jump starter, I bought it back in 2018, 5 years back, and it was able to actually start my car from my dead battery. My battery also died at that time, car battery, and my car is rated for 550 cca cold cranking app. So it was able to start it. So it was, I would say, a good, jump starter. And if you see the model number, it says XP400, and actually this is still available in Walmart. And here is the XP400CA, which means that this is supposed to provide around 400 cranking amp. And that's also says the same in the description of the website for this product, 400 cranking amp. And I believed it at the time because, as I said, it was able to start my car, which is basically 550 cca rating. And also, if you see the thickness of the wire, you get intimidated. This is pretty much thick enough car wire. But here's the deal. Now that after 5 years, it's not able to start my car anymore. I thought, okay, let me replace the battery, and I open it up, and I got surprised. So here is what's going on inside. So in there, you can see. So this is just the charging circuitry. It takes an AC, converted to DC, and then charged it just like this with this one. And so nothing surprised there. Then here is the deal. In there is nothing, no circuitry. So what I was thinking that, okay, there should be some circuitry like in capacitor, supercapacitor, whatever, that would take the current from the battery and provide this, high amp, up to 400 amp, current for a very short duration of time. But that's not the case, So there are cables, as you can see. The small one goes directly to the here, and there is basically a cigarette outlet right there for a secondary output. And there is a 20 amp fuse right there. So basically the cigarette outlet can provide 20 amp current at 12 volt, and that's for that. And this circuitry right there is just to provide the status. There are some buttons on, off, and all that, and the status, like what is the current status right now. So that is for that. There is no capacitor in there either. So the line, this thick cable that goes directly through this right there and comes, and that is directly connected to the battery terminal without any circuitry whatsoever. So whatever current this jump starter can provide, this battery has to provide. Now, what is this battery? Well, this is a standard sealed acid battery. This is a 7 amp 12 volt, and there is this part number. And this battery is, as you can see, is sealed acid battery, and it's used everywhere, and we are very familiar with this. A 7 amp hour battery usually would be rated for like around 15 amp continuously, and for a very short period of time, probably 50 or 70 amp, like that, 70, 80 amp at max. And if you go even shorter, maybe a few amp more. So even if you consider, say, 100 or 150 amp, this can provide for a really, really short amount of time, like 5 seconds or so. But then where is the rest of the amp coming from? So here is some actual data. As you can see, the Walmart product description for the jump starter says 400 amp peak. On the other hand, the same part number battery that's inside, WP7-1228WT, says 120 CA, and the maximum discharge is 140 amp. Yeah, so this 400 amp rating is basically just a gimmick provided by the manufacturer. I mean, nothing else, I would say. Okay, so here is another surprising thing. So my car is rated for 550 cca, as I mentioned, by the manufacturer Nissan. And this battery is, as you can see, the rated for cca, I can see right there 600. It's not visible because of this lid, but I could see it actually. It says 600. And so this is actually good for this car. it's 50 cc, over what the car need, and all is well. However, here is the surprising thing. You see this wire? This looks like around maybe zero point 0.3 uh, inch in diameter, maybe a little less than that, 0.3 I would say, and 3-ish, maybe a bit over, I'm not sure, but 0.3 would be generous estimate of this diameter of this wire, and that would gives like maybe 0 AWZ or 1 AWZ and wire, and those should be rated for around 100 amp if it's long distance, and around 200 amp if it's like chassis or short distance, which is in this case. So around 200 amp. Now, how on earth the Nissan rated this car that it require a 550 cca battery, and they provided a wire that can hardly move 200 amp at max? So how it's going to move this other 300 amp with what wire? This wire they would move 550 amp. If the 550 amp is not required, why they would rate it such way? I mean, that is really crazy. So I don't know.